NEXIS is such a huge part of our success because the efficiencies and the speed and the flexibility, that's just a massive game changer and continues, I think, to be a competitive advantage.
The world is rapidly changing. Now, in addition to working together in an on-premises production environment, cloud-enabled workflows and remote collaboration are becoming more essential to keep your business operational and relevant. Demand for content continues to skyrocket, as does viewer consumption across multiple screens, and your media storage must adapt to your new requirements. Whether you're creating content for feature films, TV, online, or broadcast news, your team needs the ability to work collaboratively, regardless of their location, to deliver it fast. Avid NEXIS leads the media industry with the most comprehensive solution for tiered media storage, on premises, and all the way to the cloud. You can enable hundreds of editors, assistants, journalists, producers, and other contributors to work together in real time using Avid NEXIS, integrated seamlessly with Avid Media Composer, editorial management, and Media Central. Expand your workflows on Avid NEXIS with other creative tools from companies including Adobe, Apple, Autodesk, Blackmagic Design, and others. Optimized to accelerate collaboration for high-quality production, teams can produce content faster and your business can achieve better efficiency and security across flash, online, nearline, and cloud storage tiers. And using Avid patented technology, you can quickly tailor and tune workspace capacity, performance, and drive protection to meet the latest challenges without disruption or downtime to the creative process. Avid NEXIS. It's the media industry's most trusted storage solution.
Good day to all, and thank you for joining us today for the How to Accelerate Content Creation with NEXIS presentation. The webinar will be conducted by Kevin Usher, Director and Senior Evangelist for Video, Post, and Storage Solutions, and the demo will be delivered by Corey Pedro, Senior Solution Specialist for Avid Pre-Sales Team. I would also like to thank Pam Gill, Ed Harper, and Sarah Pristnall for their contributions and support in the development and execution of this webinar. For your convenience, this webinar will be recorded and made available for on-demand viewing at a later date. Please know that our team is standing by to answer any questions you may have during the presentation. We will have a Q&A session at the end. Just click the Q&A icon on the menu bar and type and submit your questions. And now, without further ado, please welcome Mr. Kevin Usher.
Thank you, Angel. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Avid NEXIS presentation. My name is Kevin Usher. I'm a Director and Product Evangelist in the Product Marketing team for the Video, Post, and Storage business unit here at Avid. And before we look at the NEXIS solution in some detail, I'd just like to take a moment to review some of the market trends and customer storage challenges that influence the design of Avid's NEXIS storage solutions. Now, as we look at the top three market trends through 2021, there's been a significant sort of focus on the requirement for increase of higher quality and original content. So we've gone through a fairly difficult time in the industry over the last 12 months. But as we come through the end of the pandemic, hopefully we're going to start seeing a significant increase in new projects, new media, new programming. One of the things that has also driven quite a significant focus through certainly the last 12 months, but actually over the last 2 or 3 years, is how do businesses deliver the ability to allow or enable remote contributors. So if you have people working remotely that need to access content or projects on your shared storage in your facility, how can we enable those people to work in that remote location or that remote capability? And finally, we're seeing an increased adoption of cloud solutions. So moving editorial work and production into the cloud, but also changing the business model. Rather than being on-premise, moving it to the cloud, it becomes an as-a-service solution. So there's quite a lot of things happening in the industry that are affecting and changing the way we're all working going forward. Now, if we take a look at some of the storage challenges, now some of these, have been sort of shared with us by customers over quite a significant period of time, and we keep seeing these things popping up quite regularly. So it could be that the customer is working with legacy storage, a storage infrastructure that maybe isn't keeping pace with the growing demand for higher resolution content. So UHD, 4K and higher projects, and maybe their storage system just isn't capable of supporting that kind of resolution or that kind of performance for a large number of users. So, there are some challenges in terms of the investment in a storage infrastructure to ensure that it actually has a long life and can support these higher resolutions and these larger workflows as their business expands. And we mentioned a moment ago about remote collaboration. This is actually quite critical now because many of our remote editors, remote users, whether they're logging, viewing, accessing content remotely, they may not be necessarily in the same city, same country. They could be overseas somewhere. And we need to make sure that storage solutions are able to support those kinds of remote connections, be it on-premise or even in the cloud. Now, one of the things that we've seen over the years, particularly with as storage has evolved over the years, customers have, in some cases, ended up with multiple storage systems, not always necessarily from the same provider. And having multiple storage systems or silos of storage complicates workflows. It puts up all kinds of complexity in terms of technology support. If the media is in one system and a team or another person needs access to the media, it needs to be copied. So sometimes siloed storage is not necessarily a very efficient way of collaboration. And finally, it's quite likely that some of the storage systems that are out there are a number of years old. And customers typically hang on to these for a minimum of 5 years. Most storage systems are warranted for 5 years. We are aware of many systems that are actually, aged longer than 5 years. But the complications that come along with that, you're going to start seeing hardware issues, maybe drive failures, drive slowing down, all sorts of peculiarities occurring because the storage is really getting quite old. And so, although it might be a good idea, on the surface to sort of hang on to your legacy storage for longer periods of time, because obviously you're extending the return on that investment, but it does introduce a potential OPEX and downtime risk, which you need to be, aware of, and you need to plan for that so that you can actually convert to newer storage systems. So what's our solution to address some of these challenges? Well, it's a solution called Avid NEXIS. Now, Avid NEXIS is workflow optimized tiered storage, and it is fundamentally designed for real-time media production. This storage solution from Avid is not for IT use. It's not for data processing use. It's purely designed for media workflows, for high performance, high client count, and collaboration. So everybody's sharing the same file potentially simultaneously. It's optimized to accelerate media workflows, and it will work with not only Avid Media Composer and other Avid applications, but it's also open. It will work with many different third-party solutions. Angel mentioned Adobe Premiere Pro, Autodesk Flame, Apple FCP, Grass Valley, Blackmagic. There are many others, and a whole range of other third-party media tools, including asset management tools. It's designed to provide very efficient and very secure and highly scalable storage. Now, scalability is not just about adding more and more users to the system, but it's being able to increase the capacity of the system seamlessly. So you can expand and add on as your business grows. But you can also expand NEXIS into the cloud. And we'll talk about some of the capabilities that we have with the Avid NEXIS system, both on-premise and in the cloud shortly. We've touched on remote collaboration. The Avid NEXIS solution is absolutely designed for remote users to connect into it through a secure connection into your facility or into the cloud. And on the final point on this slide, really, Avid NEXIS has been deployed by literally thousands of media organizations around the world. And they come in all kinds of sizes, from very small to enterprise size, multiple petabytes and hundreds of connected users, all the way down to smaller configurations with a handful of people connected to them. So I want to take just a moment just to take a look at some of the component parts of the Avid NEXIS system. Now, Avid NEXIS is a software-defined storage architecture. So this is where the storage infrastructure is managed and automated by intelligent software, the NEXIS file system, and it's pre-integrated with off-the-shelf storage hardware. We call them hardware storage engines. Now, Avid NEXIS fundamentally can support tiered storage, so you can have different performance levels or different types of storage in a single Avid NEXIS namespace. So if we look at this slide for a moment, you look at the very top of this slide, Tier 0, flash storage or SSD storage. This is a NEXIS E2 SSD engine. It's a very compact storage engine. It's 2 rack units in size. It delivers phenomenal performance, and it's really there for finishing systems, for conform, for VFX work, and grading and dailies. So if you're looking for an ultra high performance storage engine, maybe the NEXIS E2 SSD could actually fulfill what you need. And the E2 SSD, can scale. We can have multiple SSDs all connected together in one single system. As we go to Tier 1, what we call the online storage, we have solutions in this tier which are all hard disk drive based. So they're not SSD engines, they're all hard disk drives. And NEXIS Pro is our entry-level system for the Avid NEXIS family. This is a 2 rack unit engine with internal storage. It supports 24 connected users, and we can stack out up to 4 NEXIS Pro engines in a single system. So that delivers about 160 terabytes of storage for up to 24 users. Then when we move into the NEXIS E2, E4, and E5, these are what we call our enterprise engines. Now, the NEXIS E is enterprise, and the 2 represents the rack size. So NEXIS E2, 2 rack units inside. It's got internal storage. E4, 4 rack units. It's got more capacity inside that storage engine. And the E5 is designed for very high density, very high performance applications. So actually in the E5 engine, there are 8080 media drives in that engine. Now, the enterprise engines come with different capacity configurations. So the customers have more choice over what capacity they can deploy in the enterprise systems. The enterprise systems are designed for high availability. So they have some additional features over and above the NEXIS Pro. So each engine can have a redundant storage controller. All the components are hot swappable. So every component, whether it's a hard drive, a power supply, cooling module, a storage controller, these are all hot swap. And E2, E4, and E5, the enterprise engines can all be mixed together. So the customer can initially start with an E2 engine, and as their business evolves, they could add an E5 engine or an E4 engine or multiple engines. So in the enterprise system, we can scale to many, many petabytes of online storage. When we go to Tier 2, we have a solution called NEXIS E5 NL, NL for nearline. This is an ultra high density storage engine. Again, it looks very similar to the NEXIS E5 above, but this one is designed specifically for storing projects and media at a lower cost, but also at a higher density in this engine. So in this engine, we can have over 1 petabyte of storage. And again, we can have multiple engines stacked together in the NL system. So the customer can have an on-premise library of storage that would allow them to move media from the online storage, free up some space on the online. Maybe they've got a project that's completed, or maybe they're not going to touch that project for a period of time. They can move it onto the E5 NL and store it within that same NEXIS and managed NEXIS system. Now, in addition to the on-premises storage engines that we have here, in the Avid NEXIS product family, we can also add something called Avid NEXIS Cloud Spaces. Now, what this is the ability to add some cloud storage to your NEXIS system. So any customer that we have today that has a NEXIS system can deploy cloud spaces. It really is a subscription plan, an annual subscription plan for a certain amount of capacity that can be deployed in the cloud and is managed by the NEXIS management console. So not only are you managing the storage workspaces, the users, the creation of those, on the on-premise system, you can also manage those in the cloud as well. So we've kind of just spent a little bit of time there just talking about the on-premises deployment, but we also have a couple of additional cloud deployments for Avid NEXIS. Now, the Avid NEXIS file system, because it's software designed, it means all the functionality and capabilities of the NEXIS system are primarily in the file system. So we can take that file system and we can deploy it on other storage, for example, cloud storage. And Avid Edit On Demand is one example of a fully provisioned SaaS solution for cloud deployment. In this product solution, customers can actually deploy virtual media composers and NEXIS storage in the cloud as a complete on-demand system, and it will scale. It can start with 1 media composer and 1 terabyte of storage, and can go up to 30 media composers and up to about 200 terabytes of storage. So very flexible. If customers need a storage system for a relatively short period of time, maybe a project comes in and it's a few weeks or maybe just a few months, they can quickly spin up an Avid On-Demand solution with some editing seats and allow them to have full high resolution workflows in the cloud. Avid NEXIS Cloud, just below the Edit On Demand, is really there for broadcasters and enterprise customers who have more demanding needs. They basically have more complex environments. They may need to integrate many other different solutions into this cloud production system. They may need online, nearline, and archive as part of their cloud deployment. So the Avid NEXIS file system, again, is deployed on cloud storage, but in the Avid NEXIS Cloud, it can be a more complex configuration depending on the type of customer needs that that cloud solution needs to support. So we have a very versatile solution for Avid NEXIS, and it's also very open. We've talked about Premiere Pro, we've talked about FCP, Blackmagic. Fundamentally, Avid NEXIS and the NEXIS file system was designed to be very open. But it's not just connectivity on premise. We also need to make sure that we can actually support local, remote contributors or remote connections into the media inside your on-premise system, or potentially it may, these remote contributors or remote workforce might connect into cloud storage. So Avid NEXIS has a whole range of different partners that can connect and have their applications running connected to Avid NEXIS. These are just a few of them. There are actually many more, and they can actually, augment the workflow that our customers require. So if they want an archive integration, or they want some integration into some other kind of solution for delivery or other things, we can actually design a system looking at the customer's requirements. And if Avid doesn't have the particular product solution that fulfills what their needs are, there'll probably be a partner solution that we can integrate with and provide that to the customer. So Avid NEXIS does give you a choice of deployment models. We touched briefly on the Avid NEXIS on-premises solution. So again, we have literally thousands of these on-premise systems installed around the world. We touched on Avid On Demand. It's a fully provisioned, secure virtual editing environment on cloud storage. And again, we can spin up from 1 to 30 media composers in the cloud, and we can have up to 200 terabytes of cloud storage. So this is a complete SaaS offering from Avid. And then the Avid NEXIS cloud, again, it could be for more complex solutions that larger enterprise and broadcasters and other media companies, it doesn't matter really what size they are, but they may have different needs for connectivity, different kinds of applications they want to run on this, and they might need additional tiers of storage in the cloud, so online, maybe nearline, and maybe archive. So as you can see from this slide, there's a lot of flexibility in the Avid NEXIS architecture. So just quickly looking at some of the benefits of Avid NEXIS, it's very versatile. It will adapt very quickly to your business priorities and changes. So as your business grows, Avid NEXIS will grow with you. It's highly scalable. You can start from a relatively small amount of capacity and performance and user connections up to literally petabytes of storage and hundreds of connected users. It will work and is designed for UHD, 4K, 8K, and higher. So we have an architecture with Avid NEXIS that actually will support the highest resolution workflows that you may come across. We have a lot of capabilities inside the Avid NEXIS software file system and in the hardware that provides multiple levels of media redundancy, whether it's hardware redundancy in terms of protection from component failures, through to media protection, having multiple levels of RAID protection for your media assets. And in fact, our RAID protection in NEXIS, you can have several levels of media protection in NEXIS, and they can all exist on the system simultaneously. We spent a lot of time when we were developing the NEXIS system to take all our experiences of previous Avid shared storage systems. We've taken a huge amount of feedback from customers who've deployed these systems, and we've spent a lot of time focusing on re-engineering in a number of areas the file system to eliminate complexity. And actually, we've tuned it so that we get a higher performance from NEXIS with fewer disk drives compared to other systems. And so we've done a lot of work there in terms of lowering your cost of ownership for an Avid NEXIS system. And to that point, higher performance in a smaller physical footprint. Again, a lot of performance tuning was done when we were developing the file system for NEXIS, and it's actually allowed us to deliver some very high performance in relatively small physical storage footprints. And because it's software defined, it will allow us to take the file system and deploy it with cloud storage and enable us to do to support workflows that demand or require remote collaborators. So lastly, just want to kind of highlight some of the key differentiators for Avid NEXIS. Remote collaboration is something that we've been doing for a very long time now with Avid NEXIS. That will continue to evolve and expand in terms of the things that we would like to do. Media due times is something that's patented technology. It's inside the file system, and this allows us to eliminate any congestion. So when you have multiple clients hitting the NEXIS system for media requests that have certain time demands, then the media due times basically allows us to ensure that we can service those requests from the clients without any drop frames or without any difficulties delivering the media to the user. It also allows us to scale a system to hundreds of connected users. Flexible protection, I touched on a moment ago. We can have different levels of media protection per workspace or per storage workspace within NEXIS. So we can have OneDrive protection, which is similar to RAID 5. We can have 2-drive protection, which is similar to RAID 6. And we can have mirror protection. And OneDrive, 2-drive, and mirror can all exist on NEXIS at the same time. From a qualification and testing perspective, we do put a massive emphasis on quality assurance and testing of Avid storage solutions. In fact, we have one test lab, one specific test lab. It's called a Scalar lab. We actually have multiple engineering and test labs, but this particular one is for doing scale testing. So when a customer deploys an Avid NEXIS system with multiple petabytes of storage, 330 plus users, we actually build that system and we test it. And this Scalar lab has been in place since the mid 2000s, 2005. when our previous ISIS shared storage product came to market. So this has evolved when Avid NEXIS came to market, and will continue to be there for the life of the Avid NEXIS solution. And in fact, scale and performance, I touched on that. Basically, we have the largest system that we've deployed at a customer facility is 331 users so far. Avid NEXIS can scale much higher than that, but at this moment in time, that's the biggest system that we've delivered. So inside this scale, our test lab, there are literally 331 or more workstations that will actually test not only Avid, but third-party applications as well. And we also test the infrastructure, the Nexus storage engines, and also the network as well, the switch network. So at that point, I want to now pass over or hand over to Corey Tedrow, who's going to give us an introduction to the Avid NEXIS solution, talk a little bit about some of the capabilities in terms of the configuration and setup and some of the third-party applications. So over to you, Corey.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Again, my name is Corey Tedrow, and I am a solution specialist, or otherwise known as a demo person. And I'm going to start off by showing you the Nexus console. But before we get into it, I want to give some real world examples to what Kevin talked about. You know, some people may think that Nexus is you know, facility class storage. It's more than I need. But honestly, we have customers I have a husband and wife team that does documentaries, and they have a Nexus Pro. We have countless post-production facilities with 4 or 5 clients working on Nexus. And we have a whole bunch of medium to larger post-production facilities using Nexus with reality TV workflows. And yes, it does go all the way up to the larger scale broadcasters. But my point is that if you have more than one person, I even know a customer, it's one guy, and he has one of our shared storage solutions. So you really can benefit at any level from Avid storage. All right, so let's get into working with the system. I am at home today, and I am working off of my Mac laptop, and I'm just on my Wi-Fi at home, and I'm remoted into a Nexus system that is located physically in our headquarters, which is about 20 miles away from me. And I'm just doing this through a browser. And again, anywhere that I am where I have access to the internet, I can access my Nexus and administer it. So I'm not going to get into super detail on this, but I just want to show you how easy it is to work with the Nexus system. The main dashboard gives me just sort of at a glance anything I may need to know or want to know about my Nexus. The things I want to show you are how easy it is to get up and running, how easy it is to set up users. So I will go over to the user interface here, and I'm going to make a new user. And the users are folks this is the people that I want to be able to use my Nexus. I like Kevin, so I'm going to give Kevin a user on my Nexus. And I'm going to create a super complicated 4-letter password starting with A. I wonder what it is. And once I create his username, I can do a couple of things. You'll see that we have the ability to create groups. And this is a really nice feature so that I don't have to go in and individually assign workspace permissions to every single user. I can create a group. For example, here we have students. So you're working in an educational facility and you have a whole bunch of students that all need the same permissions. You just add them to the group and you're done. So you also have the ability to excuse me, import existing users. So if you already have users set up on your system, you don't have to recreate them in Nexus. You can just import them. We're going to save Kevin's user. And now we're going to move over to our storage system, and we're going to talk about workspaces a little bit. So Kevin has a user, but now he needs a workspace. We have a lot of workspaces on this system. I'm going to make one just for Kevin. And cloud spaces, you'll see the system has cloud spaces. I will talk about cloud spaces in just a second, but just to point out, this is how easy it is to make a workspace in the cloud. It's all done from the same administrative window as I do here. I'm going to switch to my physical storage group. I'll talk a little bit more about that after I make the workspace. But I'm going to make Kevin's workspace here. And again, this is not going to be a cloud space. It's going to be a physical space, physical workspace. I can set up my protection level here. You can do different protections per each workspace. I don't have to have one set of protection level for everything on my Nexus. I can have each workspace can have different levels of protection. I'm going to start them off with 200 gigabytes, and if that's not enough, we can do more. But for now, that's what I'm going to set them up with, and we will hit save. And now what I forgot to do is give him permission to the workspace. So let's do that. We're going to go down here to our users and find Kevin. I think he's over here. There he is. So we're going to give him access, read write access, and then I just have to save, and that's updated. So now Kevin has access to that workspace. So if we take a look at Kevin's workspace over here, you'll see it's listed now. And this is how I can adjust the size of the workspace. The workspace that you see here are just the virtual volumes that actually show up in your desktop. We have obviously a lot of drives in the system. Those physical drives are presented as virtual volumes that show up on your desktop when you mount them. And this is how I can add to the workspace. Basically, with a click of a mouse, I've just given Kevin more space. And he doesn't have to stop working at all. This all happens, I can take it away from him if I need to put it somewhere else and then give it back. It all happens instantaneously, and no one at any point has to stop working when you are adjusting the sizes of workspaces. It's that easy. So let's talk a little bit about, let's come back here, and I just want to talk briefly about cloud spaces, okay? So cloud spaces are basically, as Kevin went over in his presentation, your ability to create workspaces in the cloud. And you can do it right here. This is where I would have my if I had some cloud workspaces set up, this is what I would use to manage them and see what my, how much gigabytes I'm using, bandwidth, etc. But my point is that a perfect scenario for a cloud workspace would be, I've got a Nexus, all of a sudden a project comes in and I don't have enough room for it. A project has come in and I need more space on my Nexus. I don't want to call Avid Sales and buy more drives. I really don't need to do that right now, because this is a short-term project that's coming in and I just need a little more space for a short period of time. I can create a cloud workspace. I push some stuff up into the cloud. I park it there for a little while, do my project. When the project's done, I take it off. I pull the stuff back down from the cloud. I'm up and running again. I didn't have to go and buy more storage because I really only needed some extra space for a brief period of time. So a perfect example of how you might want to use cloud spaces. Okay. All right, let's get into the meat of this, which is basically talking about using third-party applications on Nexus. Now, as I mentioned, I am on my laptop at home. I am not in the office. And if I'm going to be using editing clients, meaning clients that are full-blown editors, I need a client that is directly connected to the Nexus. I need something that is physically in the same building and connected to the Nexus. So I'm using AnyDesk, which just happens to be the tool I'm using to remote into these clients. I'm remoting into two separate systems that are directly connected to the Nexus that I have. These happen to be PCs. I just happen to be remoting into two PCs. I really want to emphasize that we are OS and system agnostic. We support Windows, we support Mac OS, we support Linux, we support multiple types of systems, and you can have them all connected together. You don't have to have all PCs or all Macs or whatever. You can have any mix that you want of types of clients. Okay, so I happen to have, this is Resolve, for those of you that may not be familiar with this interface. So this is DaVinci Resolve. And what we're going to do here is I'm going to just show you how easy it is to navigate to my Nexus workspace. I have a few workspaces here. They show up just like regular network share volumes. I'm going to navigate down to this one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this on multiple systems. So I'm going to navigate down to a folder, find a file here. Let's open this one up, and I'm going to start playing it. I'm going to loop it here in Resolve. So this clip of the dancers here, this is day 01 dancer clip 4. All right. So this clip is going to stay looping here on my Resolve system. And we're going to move over to another system. This is another client that is connected to the Nexus, and this one is running Adobe Premiere. All right. I have the same workspaces available on this system here, and I have the same media available. So I'm going to go into my dancer folder here, and we will find that same, there's clip 4 loaded up here. And I'm going to mark an in and out because I think that's what I need to do on Premiere. But for obvious reasons, I am not a Premiere expert, but I can figure out how to loop a clip. So all right, now we're going to loop a clip. This is the same clip. I'm running the Day 001 dancer clip for, and now that's looping here on Premiere, and it's still looping here on Resolve. These are playing off of the Nexus. So these are the same exact clips playing off the same exact workspace on two separate systems. Now I'm also going to move over to Media Composer, which I happen to have on the same system. So it's the system that's running Resolve is also running Media Composer. And we're going to navigate down to that same folder on this volume. We'll find Dancer Clip 4, load that up, and I'll make it a little bigger. And I'm going to loop that clip. So now that is looping. So now I have it looping here in Media Composer. It's looping in Resolve still, and we move over to the other system, and it is looping in Premiere. So to Kevin's point, this is what Nexus is all about. Nexus is designed for playing back media for anyone and everyone that needs to, as simultaneously. If you all need to work with the same exact clip at the same time, sure, Nexus will do that for you. That is what it's designed to do. And I'd like to point out that these systems, the third-party applications that we support, Kevin mentioned the Scalar Lab. We have a whole team of folks that test these on a regular basis. So this is not like we tested Premiere a few years ago and yeah, it totally works. So you should just try it. It works. No, this is something that we test continually and we stand behind that it will work in a Nexus environment. So very open. I'll quote Bob Russo, who is a previous product designer for Avid NEXIS. You can put a ham sandwich on Nexus. Bob used to say that all the time, just to emphasize how open it is as an architecture. We really support any number of different clients on it, okay? So I would be remiss if I did not talk about some of the collaborative benefits that you get using Media Composer on Nexus. So I'm going to take a few minutes just to show you some of those things. We do have lots of environments where folks use Media Composer and other applications all on the same Nexus. So I have Media Composer running on this client, and I have it running on this client too. So I'm going to stop Premiere for a moment, and I'm just going to show you what things would look like if you had two separate Media Composer systems on Nexus and some of the abilities that you would get. One thing I'd like to point out is that Media Composer, whether it's on Nexus or not, is designed as a collaborative tool, meaning at its core, it was designed so that you could share easily. And that's why you have a separate project file and then you have separate bins. These are all separate bins here. And that means that I can send someone a bin without having to send them my whole project. That same architecture on top of Nexus enables multiple people to share out of those same bins and projects. So in a Nexus environment with multiple Media Composers, I can have the same, multiple Media Composer clients can be opening the same project to the exact same project file and the exact same bins at the same time. And that's what I have here. So what I want to point out to you, however, is when you have a situation like that. So I have this Media Composer is in this project called Nexus Demo, which is probably really hard to read, but it's called Nexus Demo. That's the name of this project. And I have several bins open. There's two here, but there's several bins in the project rather. And you'll notice that I have some of them are bold. And what that means is that someone else has them open as well. And you'll see up here at the top, maybe hard to see, but maybe you can see this bright red little dot here. It is actually a little lock. It's a bin lock icon. And that basically is telling me that this bin is locked. And what that means is if it's a red lock, it means that someone else has write access to it, okay? This is the same. This bin is also got a red lock icon. All that means is that I can't write to this bin. So for example, if I come over here and I drag one of these clips down here and I basically say, oh, I want to make a sequence, it's going to tell me, please select a bin. You'll notice that neither of these bins are available here to choose from. That's because I can't write to them. I can make a new bin and make my sequence in there. That's fine. And I can continue to pull clips out of this bin. I just can't write to them. All right. However, let's go over to the other system that happens to have these projects open, these bins rather open. This is the same project. You'll see, you probably can't see, but this is the Nexus Demo project that I'm in. Here's the same list of bins and folders over here on the left. And I have 3 bins. Here's I have a cuts bin open on this one that I obviously have write access to. And here's that Agent X bin. And here's the drones bin. These are the same bins. And you'll see I have little green icons on my locks here, okay? And that's because I just happened to open them first. I opened these bins first, so that means that I have write access to them. So if I want to make a sequence, so if I can drag something down here, it's automatically going to save it to this bin for me, okay? So it just saved it there because I have write access to it, okay? However, let's come over here to the Agent X bin. Let's say I am working out of this bin. You know, I need to be pulling clips out of this bin, but I'm not actually saving to it. I don't need to write anything to this bin, but maybe someone else does. I can leave this bin open. I can hold down Option on a Mac or Alt on a PC and click on the bin. Now the lock rather. Now the lock icon turns blue. So now if we move back over to the other system and I look back over here, you may not be able to read this, but it says lock available. And now the lock here is blue. So if I click on it here, it now becomes green to me. So again, I come back over here, now it's red. I can still pull stuff out of the bin, I just can't write to it now. But this person over here was able to take write privileges on this bin without either of us having to close it. So now I can make changes to this. So for example, let me select all and say, I want to make a different color. All right, so these have a clip color assigned to them. Let's make it hot pink or red or whatever that is. I've now changed that color. If we come back over here, this is yellow now. There's a 4th color. What that means is someone has made a change. So now I know someone has made a change in this bin. I just need to click on it. It updates. Now I see the update. All of this is happening while everything is open. I don't have to close a bin and save it out and then reopen it to see anything refresh. We can thank Bob Russo for this. Bob Russo, this is one of the features that he implemented while he was the product designer for Avid NEXIS. So again, I really just like to highlight the collaborative benefits when you're working with Media Composer on Nexus. This is a combination of working with Media Composer on a Nexus environment. It makes it very easy to collaborate. So I want to talk about a couple other things. I'm going to bring up PowerPoint for a second because I just like to highlight all the different, while I'm talking, I just want folks to take a quick look at the different third-party applications that we do support. And we have lots of customers doing this. Most of our customers don't just have Avid products on their Nexus. They are running, we understand that it takes lots of tools to finish the job. And so that's why we support so many different clients on Nexus. And I want to make a couple other points as I'm wrapping up here. Kevin mentioned flexibility a lot, and he mentioned redundancy, and those are 2 really important points to make about Nexus. But let me talk about a couple of real-world scenarios about what that means. What does flexibility mean? So let's actually go over to the browser here, and we'll take a quick look at our, no, that's not what I want. We'll look at our workspaces, okay? So these workspaces, you know, you spend a lot of time organizing your workspaces in a certain way. You have certain names, they're a certain size. And as I said earlier in my cloud space example, there are times when you need more storage. You always think oh, we'll never need more, and you always need more. You need more storage. So let's say there is a scenario where you need to add some more storage, another storage engine to your Nexus system. So in some competitive products and some other shared storage products out there, in those scenarios, when you add more storage, you are locked into your workspace setup. And what I mean by that is that, let's say I have this, you know, Kevin's workspace, the Kevin's workspace that I set up. Let's go to Kevin's workspace here. So here's Kevin's workspace. Kevin says, you know what, Corey, I really need more storage. I'm like, okay, I'll give you more storage. You're a good guy, Kevin. I'm gonna buy more hard drives for you, and we'll add another storage engine here. Kevin wants to be able to take this workspace and expand it beyond what it can do right now. And we can do that with Nexus. I add more physical hard drives to the system, and he's able to just expand his existing workspace. In other scenarios with third-party products, you can't do that. You basically have to make Kevin's workspace 2. You have to make another workspace because you're not able to scale the workspaces across into the new storage, take advantage of that new storage. So it's just, that's the flexibility. You don't have to change your operating procedure or your workflow because of some limitation in terms of how to add the physical storage. Okay, here's another real world scenario. Nexus is, I hate this word, but I'm gonna use it. It's super robust. It's a very marketing term, but it's very robust, and it doesn't go down often. But there are times when you're gonna lose a drive. That just happens. Drives die, and that just happens. The question is, how does your system respond when that happens? So in a Nexus environment, when your drive dies at 3 a.m., which is when drives die, you know, that's what's gonna happen. It's gonna happen at 3 a.m. when no one's there. So in a Nexus environment, what's going to happen is your Nexus is going to be like, oh, this drive is failing. Okay, well, let me just gather up all the little media bits and pieces that are on this drive that's failing, and I'm going to copy them somewhere else. Okay, I'm going to copy them somewhere else. And then when my owner gets in at 8 or 9 or 11, you know, depending what their night was like, whenever they get in, they're going to say, oh, look, a drive failed. Let me just pop a new drive in. And the Nexus is going to say, thank you. And then it's going to gather up all of those bits and pieces of media that were on the failing drive and copy them on to the new drive. And you're back up and running without missing a beat. Now let's talk about the fact that when that's happening, when the Nexus is in that rebuild stage where it's rebuilding the data for that failed drive, nobody stops working, okay? Nobody's down. There's no like, hey guys, hey folks, let's go have a late breakfast because the system's down. Doesn't happen that way. Everything stays up and running. People continue working. There's no downtime. So that's what we mean by flexibility and, you know, robustness. Okay. So one last thing I want to point out, just because it's here and to get an idea of it, this is a cloud workspace here. I just happen to notice it. You get a little cloud icon so you can see here in your UI what the difference is between which are my cloud spaces and which are my regular workspaces. Okay. All right, I am pretty much done. So I'm going to stop my share at this moment and give it back over to Kevin or Angel. And I'm forgetting, I'm sorry, what I was supposed to do.
Thank you, Corey. That's a really nice demo. Thank you so much. I am just going to share my screen again. And just wrap up really with Avid NEXIS. I just wanted to kind of just summarize some of the things that I talked about in terms of the slides that we showed and some of the things that Corey has very nicely sort of articulated there. So Avid NEXIS really does allow content creation organizations to very quickly adapt to changing business needs. So, you know, if they suddenly have new projects coming in, or they have a, you know, a sort of 4K project coming in, or UHA or an offline or whatever, the Nexus is flexible to take all those things in its stride. It's designed fundamentally to support high resolution workflows. So, you know, at the beginning when we first started designing, then launched Nexus back in 2016, it was ready for 4K back then. And now we're beginning to see increasing demands for 8K and higher. So you can have the confidence that you can take on many more and even more complex projects when you're working with Avid NEXIS. We've put a lot of time, effort, and engineering development inside reducing business risk, so adding a lot of protection to not only the hardware, so a lot of redundancy in the hardware, but also in the software and the file system to ensure that we give you the highest level of media protection that we can possibly give you. And also giving you a choice of, you know, either on-premise with a CapEx or OpEx if it's in the cloud, or a combination or a hybrid of those to give you the optimum flexibility for your business. And ultimately, it really is about helping you protect your storage investment and maximize your return on that investment over the next few years. So at that point, I'd just like to thank you very much for listening to us and allowing us to do the presentation and the demonstration from Corey. I'm actually going to go and just check to see if we have any questions that may have come in during the course of the presentation and demo.
We sure do, Kevin. We have a few really good questions.
Great, Angel. Well, let's hear them.
Hey, we have one from Justin Krause. The question is, what is the recommended upload, download bandwidth required for a user working remotely to connect to the Nexus cloud?
So, I mean, there's no one answer to that question, no simple answer, because it depends on the resolution that you're going to be working with. Actually, one of the things that is probably equally as interesting as important is latency and the distance between the remote user and the on-premise environment, if it is on-premise. So, if you're working with proxy resolutions, typically we're seeing with some of our solutions that, for a good experience, maybe 20 megabits minimum and upwards, so will give you a good experience at low-res proxies. Obviously, if you're going to be working with high resolution media, you need a higher performance network, but it's not just all about the performance of the network connection, it's about the latency of the network connection as well.
Great, thank you. We have one from Anonymous. This one says, is it possible to have access to Management Console with no admin permission? For example, read-only permissions for the operation team and full control for the support team.
Yeah, Kev, do you want me to jump in?
Please, Ed. Yes, thank you. Yes, this is Ed Harper, the product manager for Avid NEXIS.
Yeah, thanks. Sorry for sort of cutting in there. Today, if you don't have permissions, you actually get like the dashboard screen, I think is where Corey started out. So yes, anybody can log in and see, a high level, is the system running? Is it okay? And actually what we're doing a lot of work in engineering right now, which I'm probably not supposed to talk about, but here we go. We are working on a scheme where, different people can have different authority levels, basically. So, the main administrators who run the system do just that. They run the system itself, but then actually delegating some of the workspace and user admin to the teams themselves, because, if somebody needs a bit more space or they need another workspace, you shouldn't have to go back to the sort of the central admin. So this is a feature that we are certainly working on right now. So that's yes. So the answer to that is yes.
Excellent. Excellent. We have another question from Justin Krause. Can you use Nexus storage for Pro Tools and Adobe Audition workflows as well?
The quick answer is yes. Certainly for Pro Tools, we've done a lot of performance testing with Pro Tools on Avid NEXIS, and we have actually detailed the outcome of all the tests that we've done with Pro Tools, and that's actually that information is up on our knowledge center. I'm not aware of any testing that we've done with the Adobe audio solution. So, I mean, there isn't any reason that I can think of why that wouldn't work. It's just that we haven't done any formal testing.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. A question from Jose Almeida. Is it possible to have a hybrid storage group, on parentheses, on premises and in the cloud for the same workspace?
Yeah, I'll answer that one as well. So we don't. It seems really tempting to do that. The problem you're going to hit is if some of the media is actually in the cloud and some of the media is actually on-prem, and you try to play it, you're not going to get the performance you expect. You're not going to get the responsiveness. So currently the workspace is either in the cloud, in Cloud Spaces, or in actually Cloud Nexus, or it's on-prem. For the reason I said, that it's all about performance, really. You hit the space bar, you want it to play. That said, we're looking at ways of being able to synchronize, and replicate media between on-prem and the cloud. And why I say that, and it's slightly different in then, because then I've got two copies, one on-prem, so I get the high performance, I've got the responsiveness, and I've got a copy in the cloud. So if there was a problem on-prem, the cloud becomes the backup. So we don't exactly have it today. That is, again, something that we're going to, work our way into. And again, that's something that's got ongoing in engineering right now.
Okay. Thank you, Ed. We have one more question from Justin Krause. What is the recommended network switch backplane bandwidth to work in UHD environments? I am assuming a minimum of 10 gigabits.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Very.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it's very configuration dependent, but yeah, 10 gig and up. We have 10. Well, one gig client. Well, for UHD, yes, you need to be on 10 gig. The actual switch backplane in a way we don't care, in the most positive way possible. You know, the connections to Nexus engines are either 10 gig or 40, and the connections to the clients would be 10 gig or 40 or higher. But yeah.
Great, excellent. We have a couple of questions that just came in from Douglas Looney. What is the pricing structure for the Cloud Nexus?
It very much depends on. So we talk about edit on demand, which is really the fully provisioned system where you can have a combination of deploying virtual media composers in the cloud with Nexus storage. We do weekly and monthly subscriptions, and it very, very much depends on, you know, how many virtual media composers you have and how much capacity you have. So, you know, there are dependencies really on you know, how many composers and how much storage you have.
Great, excellent. Guys, that's all the questions we have at the time. We just want to do a quick shout out to our good friend, Bob Russo, who's in the webinar. Bob, we love you. Thank you for being with us. And the next slide. And great, and we would like to also invite everybody that's here today to see the next big webinar we're going to be having next week on Edit on Demand. That will be on June 30th, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to talk about everything about Edit on Demand, from how easy it is to set up to how easy it is to work the interface in your own computers and work from anywhere, anytime. So I will take this time to thank everybody for being with us today. We appreciate you taking from your busy schedules to join us. We hope you enjoyed the presentation, and please feel free to reach out to us with any additional questions you have, and stay tuned for the on-demand version which will be available soon. Thank you everybody for being with us today, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you.